Thank you so much for staying with us. iBrand Daybreak. I told you that we would be having this conversation surrounding the 10th National Assembly. And of course, Senator Godswill Akpabio has emerged the 10th President of the Senate after defeating Senator Abdulaziz Yari Abdulaziz, who is a former senator minority leader, polled 63 votes to defeat Yari, a former governor of Zamfara State, who scored 46 votes, by the way. Senator Akpabio was subsequently sworn in as the president of the Senate for the 10th National Assembly, succeeding Senator Ahmad Lawan, who is also a member of the 10th Senate. The Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, has appealed to senators of the opposition parties to support bills that will assist President Bola Tinubu in fulfilling his campaign promises. Akpabio also advised the opposition senators to ignore their political differences in the interest of national unity and the country's development. And of course, to have this conversation with us this morning is Barrister Bayo Shikomaya. You're very welcome to the studio this morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Uche.
Okay, it's been very, very controversial and a lot of back and forth. I mean, starting from the beginning of vying for the seats, all the going to trying to fight, basically just be in the position in the first place. And finally, we have Godswill Akpabio and every other person. Congratulations to them, by the way. But schools of thought have come up also to say that they are most likely going to be rubber stamps, seeing that they were handpicked, you know, to be the leaders of the 10th National Assembly. How do you react to that school of thought?
I disagree to an extent about the leadership of the 10th Assembly being a rubber stamp one. If you watch what happened yesterday, yes, the party in government, the APC, had spoken that they wanted Akpabio to emerge, but you still realize that the people went ahead to, the senators, they went ahead to cast their votes based on who they wanted. And, you know, I would have thought that despite the president calling a caucus meeting, calling a meeting of all reps, all senators to speak with them about his preference, how he will want to work seamlessly with the 10th Assembly, you realize that people still went ahead to cast their votes how they wanted it. It wasn't a bad election at all. 60-something to 40-something, despite the influence of the ruling party. It's not bad. I don't see them being a rubber stamp assembly.
Okay. You know that we're in a country where there is a lot of distrust, especially with whoever is voting at whatever level and whoever is already in power. I'm talking about the power of incumbency, and of course the fact that the ruling All Progressives Congress is already has the presidency and the deputy president, vice presidency, forgive me, and you know, these are some of the issues that were aligned as part of why people think they are going to be rubber stamps. You don't think that played a role?
No, I don't necessarily agree that what would stop you from being a rubber stamp will be coming from opposition. You have to think about experience, what they set out to achieve and all of it. I think Akpabio comes with the requisite experience to lead the 10th Assembly. This is someone who has been a minority leader. He's not going to the Senate for the first time. He's been a minister. He's been a commissioner. He's held different positions amongst different issues that he has gone through in life. I think Akpabio is ready for the job, and he'll be able to deliver on what we're expecting to deliver on. So the fact that I want to see it from the perspective that the APC producing the Senate leadership should make things better. What would determine whether the 10th Assembly will be a rubber stamp assembly would be dependent on the electorates. What are we asking of our representatives who we have sent to represent us at the State House of Assembly, at the Federal House of Assembly, and at the Senate? It depends on what we are putting at their doorsteps and how we are checking them. That is what will determine whatever we get out of every government that we elect into position. Obviously, what you would have seen yesterday is that it is time for us to leave our party affiliation. It is time to think Nigeria. It is time to come out and say that what we want to get involved in is how to move this country from the point at which it is right now and where we all expect it to be. Where government seems to have a meaning to an average man or to the poor person who is on the streets.
Okay.
From the moment Tinubu handpicked his vice president, there was this reaction that, is this a Muslim ticket playing out here? And we saw the reactions of people after that decision was made. And of course, putting it side by side with allegation made against the Kaduna State governor, which has also created some level of concern about the issue of Islamitization and what have you. Could this be a chess play to strike a balance and perhaps douse these reactions of people by making sure that the Senate leadership comes from the South-South?
Well, I would look at it from two perspectives. The South-South brought so much. The other day we were having this discussion and I told you that if anyone deserves to get the Senate presidency, it should be the South-South, because they brought so much in terms of votes, and this was a zone that was previously controlled by the major opposition party PDP right now. Because they brought so much, I'm not someone that wants to look at balancing of positions by off religious affiliation and all of it. This country is not going to move forward. Yes, well, in the eye of everyone, yes, I've had discussions with a lot of people who are happy now that at least Yari did not emerge, that it would have been an all Muslim affair had Yari emerged. But now that Akpabio has emerged, Akpabio is a Christian, is someone who has what we believe there's requisite experience to deliver on what we want. So we're beginning to have the balance, like you said, but I don't think it is the balancing out of it that really matters, because you had someone like Ojiuzo Kalu, who was also interested in this position. He's a Christian and he could have been chosen. I think religion played a role, but I think it was more about who is more competent and who brought something better and more to the table.
Speaking about competence, the president had promised to, work with men who have the understanding required to be in positions of leadership. He had said stuff about how they are going to be technocrats, and I'm talking about the appointments now. We've seen him appoint his chief of staff, but we've not seen other major appointments happen. Before we get to the expectations of the 10th National Assembly, let us look at the appointments that would come up eventually. What would be your expectations, and how do you see this playing out?
Okay, so for me, government just started yesterday. So the next major assignment before the 10th Assembly will be the screening nomination. The president will send his list of ministerial appointments, special advisors, those who need to be screened by the 10th Assembly, both the Senate, the Joint House of the Senate, and the House of Reps.
Sorry to cut you. Sorry to butt in. Do you see that happening anytime soon? Because we've had an experience in the past where we waited for 6 months before these things happen.
No, but there's a new law that says that every executive must appoint their cabinet within 60 days.
Now we'll put that out there. Let's continue.
So the president has signed that. The former president, President Muhammadu Buhari, signed that into law before he went. So we expect that whatever is happening is counting already. They have 60 days within which to form their cabinet. The high point for me would be, I look forward, I'm eager to see those who this current president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, would choose into his cabinet. I look forward to seeing smart, young, and forward-thinking Nigerians. I am not caught off by the fact that experience would be a mixture, but to take us from where we are right now, we need a lot of fresh brains, young guys who are smart and ready to move this country forward.
All right, you talked about, you alluded to the fact that, yes, there's a balancing right now because of the reactions we've gotten over time, and to also collaborate with what my colleague said when it comes to the issue of not having a rubber stamp, Senate. Talk to us about independence between the Senate and the executive. As we see
the independence is a subjective thing. When people seems to want to work together, for the development and the progress of the country. Some people interpret it as being rubber stamps.